Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. It's Wednesday at 12 noon, and welcome to No BS Hiring Advice Radio. This is a time where I like to spend about 15 minutes talking with you as one HR professional to another, one recruiter as another, one firm involved with locating talent to another firm trying to hire that talent. Because I believe that there are systemic problems in many organizations that interfere with your ability to bring on people. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not talking about money here, although sometimes that can be an issue. I believe often that there are processes and systems and behaviors in place that interfere with your firm bringing on the talent that your organization needs to excel. I'm not disparaging the people that you eventually take on, but I do believe that I see plenty of evidence of this throughout the job market that tells me that there are mistakes being made. Now, before I go further, let me just simply say I have two sponsors for today's show. The first one is Audible. If you go to audibletrial.com/the big game hunter and sign up for a trial of Audible, you'll be able to download a free audiobook. And it's a 30-day trial. Try it out. Don't like it, cancel. So again, that's audibletrial.com/the big game hunter. And I know you like audio. After all, you listen to my podcast, right? The second sponsor is consultingassignments.com. Consultingassignments.com is a site where you can find and fill consulting assignments, full-time consulting positions, temp to perm, and contract to hire opportunities anywhere in the world completely free. Posting a job or a resume is free. Searching jobs and resumes is also free, as is the ability to contact one another. The only thing the site charges for is if you're going to feature a job or feature a resume, it is a whopping $10 for 30 days. If you're going to feature more than one position, the price drops down from there. So again, that's consultingassignments.com. Now, today's show is really triggered by a couple of things, a couple of conversations I've had with clients over the past few days. Some old clients, some new clients that all kind of come together in, this is not the 2009 job market anymore. If you remember, in 2007, we all learned the term subprime mortgage. In 2008, Bear Stearns went out of business. Other firms in the financial market collapsed. Firms start to lay off, but those were the New York firms. Who cared? But then at the end of 2008, it wasn't just simply Lehman Brothers that went out of business. We almost had the demise of AIG, Goldman Sachs, AT&T. Let me be clear about the latter two. I've read that neither of them had access to capital over a weekend, and they had bills to pay. Like, these are big firms. These are not tiny bills. So when all is said and done, the markets collapsed. Firms started to lay off in mass quantities. President Obama was elected under a platform of stimulus and improving the economy. And I'm not going to go into debating about what he did and how effective it was. That was then, this is now. And in 2009, there was no job market. If you were out of work, you were planning on being out of work for a long time. And the government went so far as to guarantee 99 weeks of unemployment, almost 2 full years. So as an employer, you were in a position where you could dictate the terms. You could tell a job hunter, it's going to be my way, or there's only another 450 people standing outside with similar skills who will do it for the same or less. So we're going to give you 2 choices, leave it or take it. Now, let's fast forward to today. It's 5 years from the time the financial markets have collapsed. And there are one major thing that has occurred. And that really stems comes down to not enough people entered the labor force during the collapse period from 2008 to 2011 to create an adequate supply for where we are today. Couple that with we don't really allow enough people into the United States under an H-1B visa to allow firms to have an adequate pool of talent with, let's say, as little as 3 years of experience to as much as 10, 15 years. Going back to 2001 in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, the U.S. cut immigration or legal immigration to the United States very dramatically. So like a third of what it had been. So the result is organizations are feeling a pinch on recruiting talent. Now, I had one episode today I thought was bizarre. Firm interviewed an applicant about 5 weeks ago. Manager goes on vacation. He tells the applicant that he's gone for 2 weeks. Comes back, first week, no word. Second week, first week there's no word, so it's 6 weeks. There's no information whatsoever about his thoughts. The second week, they indicate, well, we think he's a finalist. One of two. That's great. So we have one of two finalists there after 4 weeks of the initial interview, which is about an hour and a half, 2-hour interview at their offices. Great. And they say, we'll have a decision by the end of the following week. Terrific. No word back. Now, I normally assume at that point they made an offer to the other person who turned it down. I get a message today, or yesterday, what's he looking for, which I take as being the signal of interest. Now it's been 5.5 weeks since the time of initial message. And the candidate comes back not with questions about the job. He likes the job, but he comes back and says, it's hard for me to value what I need because I don't know about the cost of my health insurance benefits. I don't know about tuition refund. I don't know what kind of bonus the firm pays. Do they have profit sharing or a 401k? And what sort of match do they have? Pretty reasonable benefits questions that if you're a job hunter, you want to know. After all, the employer is asking about salary. That's the employer comparable, right? So I send a message back to them in very polite terms saying he's got some questions about some benefit stuff. Also wants to know about tuition. In the 5+ weeks since you met with him, a couple of other firms have gotten into play, and it's not the same as it was 5 weeks ago. Perfectly understandable. And we're not talking about a little junior member of staff. We're talking about someone who's going to run a large technology function that has a budget. The firm itself does about $2 billion in sales. His personal budget is going to be close to $1 billion. We're not talking about a trivial pursuit here or a junior member of staff. We're talking about an individual who's going to have a significant responsibility within that firm. So how do they respond? They respond by saying, I think that this is going to go crazy, and we're just going to not make him an offer. Could you get us some more people? Huh? We've gone from 5.5 weeks of no communication to what's he looking for, asking a few questions, and no offer, get us some more people. So that's one scenario. I have others where firms have taken a lengthy amount of time because they've told me that they've taken 6 to 8 weeks of interviewing to evaluate and assess people with broad periods of time from first to second interview, broad periods of time from second to third interviews. allowing ample time for competitors to get into play and for people's good feelings to be dissipated. Now, I'm not saying you do things in sequential days. I want to be absolutely clear about that. But I am saying that job hunters now have choices. Job hunters now have multiple choices, and not just these two people, but most qualified people are going to have alternatives. So, at the end of the day, an example of the first firm, somehow or other, they thought they could breeze through this thing. I assume they offered the other applicant the job first, and he turned it down, or she turned it down. They went to my person second. Their response was to go, we've moved from he's a finalist, we've evaluated a whole bunch of people, and we're not going to get in play. If that makes sense. You've spent weeks evaluating and assessing people. My guy got in relatively late. He was probably the last person the hiring manager interviewed before going away on his trip. And suddenly you decide, too much trouble. Huh? At least answer the questions. That's one thing. The important thing is, as an organization, you have to do a couple of things in order to ensure that you're competing for exceptional talent. Because you're not hiring mediocre people, are you? You're hiring high quality, high caliber talent, and that's going to put them in demand. So you need to think in terms of every manager selling their opportunity. Number two, the courtship of the candidate. Now, I'm not telling you that you bow down to them or anything like that, but you expect to be catered to. You need to give some reciprocity back. Communicate. Now, in the case of the first example I gave, as tempting as it is to like one interview and a job offer, one interview in a 5-week plus gap is not a good way to go, because some of the good feeling is gone. You need to think in terms of how you court candidates, again, without compromising standards. How you sell candidates, court candidates, create great impressions, are courteous. And you notice, I'm not raising money here, although money will be a factor shortly for all firms because prices are going to go up. How you present yourself, how you develop relationship, how you develop trust and rapport between you and the candidate. Particularly the ones that you like. Because if you don't like them, you still want to do that because you want them to go back home and have a great impression and go, darn, I really wanted that one. Darn, I'm sorry I didn't produce. And start creating that bandwidth about your firm as a quality place to work. So sell, promote, court, speed up the process. And you'll do a much better job of being competitive for the candidates that you want. So that's my advice for today. I hope you find it helpful, and I hope you take action on it. I also want to say that I have a lot of information available on my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us. So come over to the site and go exploring. I have podcasts about hiring. I have podcasts about job hunting. You can receive a complimentary subscription to No BS Hiring Advice e-zine at my site. Good information, not just simply my own, but from other people. So come over to thebiggamehunter.us and go exploring. A few final things. First of all, if your firm is trying to hire someone, send me an email at jeffaltman@thebiggamehunter.us. I'd love to help your firm staff positions. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request. The address is linkedin.com/in/the-big-game-hunter. I accept connection requests from people all over the world, except the country known for scams or spam. And if you're a third-party recruiter, I definitely won't do it. So this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. Hope you found this show helpful. Hope you have a great day. Take care.